Welcome to the College Football Bros. I am Trey Newman, and today I'll be taking a deep dive into the Ohio State Buckeyes and their 2022 season. At the end of the episode, I'll be giving you a prediction on their record and my thoughts on how the season sets up for them based on their schedule. So with that said, let's get into it. The Buckeyes, they're one of the favorites to win the national title, and as much as you hate to say it, it's almost national championship or bust, but that's the level Ryan Day has this Buckeye program at. If you look at last year, they went 11-2, capped it with a thrilling Rose Bowl comeback victory over Utah, but losing to Michigan, missing the Big Ten title and the playoff made it almost a disappointing season in Columbus. The defense let them down in big spots, but Ryan Day, he learned from that and seemed to address it. In some of their games, and certainly in the Michigan game, they were beat in the trenches. So with some of the coaching changes, returning production, and of course the blue chip talent, I wouldn't expect that to be the case this year, especially as they are celebrating Ohio Stadium's 100th year. So let's dive into this team. I'm going to take a look at the offense first. So I could wrap this segment up by just saying they'll be great. That's all you need to know. But I'll explain why they're so great for you. They were number one in total offense last year, pretty much borderline unstoppable at times. Even in their losses, the offense really did their job. CJ Stroud, he blossomed as the year went on. He's a Heisman frontrunner this year, had a preposterous 44 touchdowns, only 6 picks. And then, you would think losing 2 first-round receivers, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, you'd think that'd be disastrous, but Jaxon Smith-Njigba was the leading receiver last year. He's back off of his 347-yard day in the Rose Bowl. But we also learned in the Rose Bowl that young Marvin Harrison Jr., he's ready to flourish. And then I like the highly regarded Julian Fleming to contribute this year. You could really go on and on there, but receiver is not going to be an issue, especially with Stroud thrown to those guys. Now, if for some unforeseen reason the pass game just isn't clicking, you've got an All-American candidate to hand it off to or use in the short passing game, Treyveon Henderson. He honestly would be probably the best player on about 100 other teams, but is just one of the guys on this Ohio State roster. He had over 1,200 yards, 19 total touchdowns, average almost 7 yards per carry. Mayan Williams, he had over 500 last year too. Really, the only concern you could possibly have with this offense is up front on the line. It was a little inconsistent at times, and now they lose a couple All-Americans, including Thayer Munford. But they have 4 other guys that returned that were at least honorable mention All-Big Ten players. Paris Johnson, DeJuan Jones should be stellar, protecting Stroud, helping open up some holes for Henderson. And so, on and on. As you can see, it's an embarrassment of riches on the offensive side, so it's really going to be a fun show to watch week in and week out this year. Shifting over to the defense, now this is what really prevented the Buckeyes from getting back to the playoff last year. They gave up 500 yards to Oregon, almost 300 rushing yards to Michigan. Utah put up 45 points on them. They ended up being 9th in the Big Ten in points allowed. But I say this, and it's definitely not all doom and gloom. The talent that's there is great. The returning experience should help. But most importantly, Ryan Day hired Jim Knowles from Oklahoma State to be the new coordinator. He led an outstanding Cowboy defense, and while it might potentially take a couple games to acclimate to this new scheme, I expect the defense to become more of a strength as the year goes on. Up front, they're pretty deep at the interior with a big body like Teron Vincent leading. At end, if some of that blue chip talent starts to show its form, then it could make this defense really nasty. Jack Sawyer is the guy that could take off in his sophomore year after being the highest rated prospect a year ago. JT Tuimoloau, he's another guy that should come into his own. Zach Harrison's back. He was the leader in returning, or he's the leader in returning tackles for loss and sacks. Linebacker, we saw Tommy Eichenberg have 17 tackles in the Rose Bowl. He's back. They have Steel Chambers back too. I think he's poised for a big season. Converted to linebacker from running back, got his feet wet last year, had 47 tackles. Also bringing in another transfer from Arizona State. So linebacker in this 4-2-5 system honestly seems pretty solid, if you ask me. If the secondary develops, then there really won't be a glaring weakness. Denzel Burke, He's only a sophomore, but is probably the best corner, had 12 pass breakups. I really like the safety position. Ronnie Hickman, he led the team in tackles. Then they bring in Tanner Mcallister from Oklahoma State. He would honestly be my favorite piece if I was a Buckeye fan, since he can serve as a quarterback and vocal leader since he's familiar with the Knowles defensive system. And, overall, this isn't the Chase Young defense, but if they take to Knowles' system, on paper, it seems like it could take a very big jump and be potentially becoming an asset for this team. So I guess, and to wrap a bow on the team, the special teams, it's in good hands with Noah Ruggles. He was 20 of 21 on field goals, made all 74 extra points. So top to bottom on this roster, there's a lot to like. So now let's shift over to their schedule. Certainly doesn't start easy, but it's a great game for fans of college football seeing Notre Dame travel to Columbus. They draw Wisconsin and Iowa from the West. Not ideal, but they're both at home. You got a road game at Michigan State. Might not be easy, but they just demolished Sparty last year, so I'm not terribly worried there. After that, there's two games that stand out to me. At Penn State, always a very tough atmosphere, of course, and always fun to watch. And then at Maryland on November 19th. And the only reason I point that out is because it's the week before the Michigan game. We know the Buckeyes want revenge from last year, so that could be a little look-ahead spot. And Maryland, we know, has some weapons on offense, so they could put up some points potentially. And as far as a prediction, like looking at some of those advanced lines out there, Ohio State, they're a double-digit favorite in every game. And if you ask me, I think the loss to Michigan last year helps Ohio State this year. It gives them a new chip on their shoulder for the whole season, makes that rivalry in particular even better. I think it was really great for the Buckeyes, and it'll be fun to see them how they react off that loss last year. Their win total, it's set at 11, but I'm going to say they go 12-0. Ultimately, of course, win the Big Ten title. Now, I wouldn't be shocked at all if someone clipped them to go 11-1. And the only way I really see multiple losses is a Stroud injury or the defense just really struggles in the transition to Knowles' system. So that's it for the Buckeyes and this episode of the College Football Bros. Please let me know your comments down below on how you think Ohio State will fare this year. Check out our podcast and this channel all season long. We're previewing each of the conferences and have weekly episodes during the season as we cover college football in a unique and entertaining way with my two other brothers. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.
You've been watching the College Football Bros. Be sure to subscribe here on YouTube and in your podcast app for college football content all year round. For bonus episodes and access to our Discord chat, join our Patreon at patreon.com/collegefootballbros. Thanks for watching.